Today I want to talk to you about all that Oregon Tech has to offer. So Oregon Tech, what are we? We are a primarily four-year university, so you go here to get bachelor's degrees. We also offer grad degrees, so master's degrees, and we are hopefully going to get a PhD program in physical therapy here soon. But we are Polytechnic University. So what does the word Polytechnic mean? Polytechnic essentially means that we are trying to give you hands-on experience. We're focusing on applied learning, so you can go out into the real world and be successful in whatever you put your mind to. So Polytechnic, also known as applied learning, also known as hands-on, whatever you kind of want to picture that as, that's what it means. We are a smaller institution located in Southern Oregon. I'll talk a little bit more about our campuses here in a second, but we are mighty and we are transforming. We're doing a lot of updates to the campus so that you can have the best experience here on campus and so that you can get the most out of your experience here. And again, like I had mentioned, we're a Polytechnic University. We only offer Bachelor of Science degrees, so no Bachelor of Arts degrees. We pride ourselves on hands-on curriculum through different projects, labs, and then internships and externships as well. One of my favorite things to point out about Oregon Tech is how successful our students are. We have a 96% student success rate. So that means that if you graduate with a degree from Oregon Tech, 96% of our graduates are enrolled in graduate school or are furthering their job in the workforce within 6 months of graduation. So you're really gaining that hands-on experience in your specific field of choice, and then you are able to go out into the real world or further your education after the time you graduate. And not only are you graduating and going out into the real workforce, but you are also starting out with a pretty high starting salary. Our average starting salary for students is about $60,000 per year out of graduation. So definitely getting that great hands-on experience, but then also making a lot of money afterwards. We do have about 5,000 students across all of our campuses. So that means that our class sizes are very small. You really get that one-on-one interaction with your professors, and you're able to do lots of different projects and lab work with your classmates. 91% of our undergraduate courses actually have 30 or fewer students, and our typical average starting class size is typically about 17 students. I'm going to move on to the next slide because this discusses a little bit more about our campuses that we have. Our main campuses is located in Southern Oregon, Klamath Falls. I'm not 100% sure if you all are familiar with Klamath Falls, but if not, we're close to the California border, probably about 3 hours from you all up in Eugene. So close enough, but also far enough to kind of get out of your hometown if that's what you're looking for. We do have, this is our main campus, like I mentioned, so it provides you with an on-campus living experience. Most of our 40+ academic programs are located here, as well as most of our clubs, organizations, and we have our NAIA athletic teams as well. We typically recommend our Klamath Falls campus to first-year students because that's where you would get that traditional college experience that you might be looking for. We do only have about 2,300 students specifically here at our Klamath Falls campus. And we do get 300 days of sunshine too, which is also a little bit different than you all in Eugene, I think. But I actually traveled up there last month, and it was raining the day that I traveled, and I was like, where is this rain coming from? So we are very sunny here. We do get lots of snow in the winter as well. But again, this is where we would recommend for our first-year students to get that traditional college experience. But we also have a commuter campus up in Wilsonville, so up towards the northwest corner of Oregon. So this is our commuter campus. It's located, we call it our Portland Metro Commuter Campus. Typically, that's where we would see more non-traditional students or students not necessarily coming right out of high school because they don't have the athletics or as many clubs and organizations offered up there. But it is a great option if that's where you're looking to, live in the future, or if for some reason your degree is only offered there, it is still a good option. You still get that Oregon Tech degree with the 96% success rate and everything like that. We only have about 800 students up at our Wilsonville campus. I'm going to quickly touch on some of our degrees today, or as many of the degrees as I can. I know I don't want to talk too much on one thing, so we'll just get right into this. But first, I'm going to touch on our engineering and technology degrees. Oftentimes, we do see students, if they are familiar with Oregon Tech, they usually know us for engineering or our health sciences. But I will talk on a few of our other degrees as well after this slide too. So we're not just engineering and health sciences, but that's typically, if you know us, what you might know us for. Over on the right-hand side, we have our computer systems engineering technology. This is essentially what you might think of if you think of computer science. As you see, we don't have a specific computer science degree, but computer science, instead of the general computer science curriculum, you would be more of a, what is it called? You would be more of a specialist in the area. So you would be focusing, if you were in computer engineering technology, you'd be focusing on the hardware. Software engineering technology would be focusing on the software, the coding side of things, and embedded systems engineering technology would kind of be the merger of the two. So if you think of Wi-Fi enabled thermostats, how the hardware of the thermostat actually interacts with the software side and the coding of the internet. So that's something that those students would be doing. One really cool thing about many of our degrees is that they do typically have at least one course that's like a intro to a few different degrees. So for example, with our CSET department, Computer Systems Engineering Technology, they actually have a full 1-year common curriculum. So your first year would all be the same if you were in any of these 3 degrees. So if you did change your mind after that first year, say you came in as computer engineering, but you decided after the first year you wanted software, it would be very easy to switch over because some of the classes that you take would be very similar. And then over on the left, we have our other engineering degrees. We have some that might seem a little bit familiar to you: civil, mechanical, electrical. And if these don't sound familiar to you, but you are interested in learning more, again, let me know. I'll have my contact on the last slide. I'd be happy to help. But today, just to kind of briefly touch on a few, my favorite one to point out here is our bachelor's in renewable energy engineering. And that's because we were the only first institution in North America to have a renewable energy engineering degree as a bachelor's degree. So our students are definitely getting that experience as the first of its kind in the United States. But then they also are really able to get hands-on experience because we actually live on a geothermal hotspot here in Klamath Falls, and our campus is powered with geothermal heat as well as solar panels. So these students really get hands-on experience in that way as well. Geomatics is also a fun one to point out. Geomatics is a little bit different than you might have heard before, but if you're familiar with surveyors at all or surveying technicians, those are the students here on those yellow tripods. They are gathering data points. So you're definitely kind of analyzing the space around us and figuring out data points. So if you're familiar with like GPSs and how they get you from one spot to the other, that would be what a GIS student in geomatics would be doing. So that's geographical information systems. The students are really getting that GPS data and they're able to kind of analyze the data and make sure that you're getting to where you want to go with a GPS. Again, that was a very brief, very blanket overview of lots of our degrees in engineering, but I do want to save some time for more questions at the end. So I'm going to move forward to our tech-infused business degrees. You might wonder how you get hands-on experience with a business degree, because in engineering, you're obviously working with equipment, very hands-on, but business degrees is not as hands-on if you just think of it right away. But our students are actually going out into the community and helping local businesses because we are a smaller community. So say a business doesn't have a marketing plan for their business. One of our marketing students might be going out to help that local business, and they might, you know, work with them to develop a marketing plan for one of their projects. So with business degrees, even if you don't get that hands-on experience with equipment, necessarily, you're getting hands-on experience through projects, group work, and things like that. Some other ones that might be interesting to you all, we have cybersecurity. It's our second newest degree if you're interested in how to keep the interwebs safe and secure, that would be for you. We have an information technology degree, which is essentially if you are interested, like when I have issues with my email, I call our IT help desk. So if you're interested in doing something like that, you could definitely look into IT. And then two other interesting ones on this slide. Health informatics is essentially an IT degree, but specifically in the health field. So if you're interested in more of the health route, but not necessarily patient care, that could be for you. And then healthcare management is essentially a management degree, but in the health field. So if you're interested in maybe managing a hospital wing or something like that, that could be for you. And then moving on to our health, arts, and sciences degrees. So we have our closed cohorts on the left. I don't believe that any of you all said, if I can remember, that any of you all were super interested in health, arts, and sciences, but if anyone watches in the future, I hope that they'll be able to see this and then kind of, ask questions if they have more. But closed cohort essentially means that you'll have a set of prerequisite courses that you take before applying into the professional portion of the program. So there is a secondary application for these ones. And this program is these programs are a little bit more competitive because of that secondary application process. We are the only institution in Oregon to have all 5 bachelor's degrees in medical imaging. So in these 5 modalities listed here. So if you're interested in like x-rays or scanning of the hearts or ultrasounds, anything like that sounds interesting to you, this degree could be for you. We also have nursing, emergency medical services, and medical laboratory sciences. Those are all specifically programs with OHSU, which is Oregon Health and Sciences University. Nursing is offered at our Klamath Falls campus, but emergency medical service and medical laboratory sciences are only specifically up at our Portland Metro campus. So just something to keep in mind. And then our biohealth sciences degree is our pre-professional degree. If you're interested in being a doctor, physical therapist, pharmacist, anything like that sounds interesting to you, that could be for you. And then our applied sciences degrees down on the bottom are degrees that are maybe more general. If you were majoring in dental hygiene or civil engineering, you would probably know which pathway you're going to go for your job. So for civil engineering, you would probably become a civil engineer in the future. However, if you major in communication studies, there might not necessarily be a specific path that you would go on. But these degrees give you many different transferable skills for the future. So if you're not 100% sure that you want to go into engineering or health sciences or business even, that's perfectly fine. These degrees down here can help you get to many different jobs in the future. So if you're interested in maybe being an admissions counselor, you could major in something like communication studies or something like that. So definitely many different options for you to think about. I know that was very, very brief on those academics, but feel free to let us know if you have any other questions. I am going to jump into just what the social aspect is here on campus and how to engage in campus life. Obviously, school is not just about academics. Our students are very academically centered and focused, but that's not all that it is about. If any of you are student athletes, I highly recommend looking to get involved with our NAIA athletic teams. If you don't want to be in athletics, that's perfectly fine. I do just recommend cheering on and supporting your fellow students because a lot of your classmates might be on these teams. So it's fun to go cheer them on and support the Hustlin' Owls. And then clubs are over here on the left-hand side. My favorite one to point out is our outdoor program. Our outdoor program takes students on trips at little to no cost to them into all of the outdoor areas around Klamath Falls and like maybe even a few hours away. They've done deep sea fishing, not in our lake. We do have Klamath Lake right next to us, but its average depth is actually only about 8 feet. So they can't go deep sea fishing there. They go all the way out to the coast. They have done mountain biking, skiing, snowboarding, you name it. They've probably done it. And if they haven't, you can definitely suggest that they do as well. We also have different clubs that are social clubs. We have a fraternity, a sorority, we have esports, service clubs, cultural clubs. Again, you name it, we probably have something for it. But if we don't, you can create your own club as well. We also have academic clubs, so you can get more hands-on experience through your clubs as well. And then our housing on campus, again, this is specifically at our Klamath Falls campus because this is where our on-campus housing options are. But we do have two different options, a residence hall, which is your typical residence hall that you might think of at a college, typically 2 people per room and a bathroom down the hall. And then the village is a apartment style option. So typically it's 1 person per room with 4 rooms in each unit, and then 2 shared bathrooms, a shared kitchen, and a shared living space. You don't have to live on campus if you are a first year or any kind of student, but we do highly recommend it. It gets you closer to all the activities that are on campus. You don't have to drive in the snow, which is my favorite perk. You actually typically, studies have shown that you do perform better academically if you live on campus. So I highly recommend it, but it's not required. And we do have a first year experience for our first year students on the first floor of the residence hall. We also have dining options on campus. If you do live on campus, you are required to have a meal plan. It's typically a combination between Bucks, which is money on a card that you just swipe, and then you swipe the card, but it's essentially a declining balance of money. And then meal swipes are used in our dining hall. On this slide, I just want to briefly mention how many student support services we have on campus. I highly, highly, highly recommend if you ever need any help, reach out. I know that in college, you're kind of starting to be your own person. You're starting to, do things on your own, and that's perfectly fine. But I do know that eventually you are going to need help with something, whether that's where is the best grocery store to go, or whether that is with academics or anything like that. Please reach out. We have many different support services here on campus, and I'd love to go further into depth with them with you at any other time, but I am going to move forward right now to just our admissions requirements. So something quickly to think about. If you are currently a senior right now, we are still accepting applications. We'd love to see your application come through. We do offer, so we look for specifically 15 core subjects, and those are all listed here on the left-hand side of the screen. These 15 core subjects is what we are basing your admissions decision on, essentially. So we don't require any essays, no letters of recommendation, no second language, and we are ACT and SAT optional. We also don't even require a transcript, and I will talk about that on the next slide. But in these 15 core subjects, we are looking for about a 3.0 or higher unweighted GPA. If you don't have that, or if you're not sure if you have that, I highly encourage you to apply anyway. We would still love to review your application. But again, if you're a senior, we are still accepting applications. So feel free to let me know if you have any questions about applying. But if you are a junior or anything less, typically our application will open up August of your senior year. And I highly recommend applying earlier on in your senior year rather than later on, just so that you can prepare earlier in advance. But it's never too late. We are a self-report application. And again, I mentioned that we don't require a transcript. The reason for that is because of the self-report application. So you just put in the courses that you have taken, and you report the grade that you have received for that course. And then after graduation, we ask that you send your official transcripts and test scores. And then there is a $50 application fee, but I would encourage you to reach out to us for an application fee waiver code. I do not want that to be the reason that you don't submit an application. So please reach out to us. We would love to waive that for you. This year is super easy. It's actually first year, all lowercase, all one word. So very, very easy. And I believe it is going to be the code for this upcoming year too. So if you're a junior and applying this next year, first year, all lowercase, all one word. And that's what you would want to use for your fee waiver code. Briefly, I'll just talk about some dates. So typically our priority date is November 1 of every year. I would just recommend applying by then, again, so that you can start to meet our scholarship deadlines of March 1 of every year. And the FAFSA opens October 1 or October 1st. I would recommend just submitting that as soon as you can. Technically, we ask for it by March 1st, but you can submit it anytime after that as well. And then our commitment and deposit deadline is May 1st. It's coming up. But again, we are rolling, so we accept applications after that. And then I just want to briefly, I know we're kind of getting close to the time, I think. But I want to briefly touch on just value and affordability. We are the #1 school for return on investment in Oregon. So while this number in the in-state column might look large, just remember that what you do put into your education, you will get out of a lot more if you come to Oregon Tech. So definitely something to think about. And this also is a number before the FAFSA is factored in and before scholarships are factored in. So I think the more important thing to talk about on the slide is over here on the right are scholarships and aid. Again, I highly recommend submitting your FAFSA at any time, but preferably as soon as you can after October 1st. And then presidential and engineering scholarships you're considered for through your admissions application. The OWL scholarship is for any students who have completed college credits while in high school in STEM. So if that sounds like you, look into that one. And then our foundation scholarship down there on the bottom is one application for many different awards. So I highly recommend looking into that one to apply to. The leadership and diversity scholarship is actually under the foundation scholarship. So definitely lots of things to get money for, as well as aid. So please remember to apply to as many of those as you can. And if you are a senior and missed our March 1st deadline for the foundation scholarship, it does open back up here in July. And then this is my second to last slide. So I promise I'm wrapping up.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
I don't know how many questions we'll have. So just take your time. I think we're good.
Okay, thank you. So this is a chart for our first year presidential scholarships. So I assume that all of you are residents of Oregon. So this is the column that you'd be looking at. We look at an unweighted high school GPA for these scholarships specifically, or SAT scores or ACT scores. So if you have test scores, I recommend submitting them because they will only help your application for scholarships purposes. They will not hurt anything for your application. So they won't hurt your admissions. They won't hurt your scholarships. They would only help you if you have them. So if you do have them, great. If you don't, just cover up those two columns and look at the GPA. Whatever is highest, so GPA or SAT score or ACT score is what we'll look at for your scholarships. Say you have a 3.6 GPA, but a 24 on your ACT. We will take the 24 ACT and look over, you'd get the $4,000 scholarship. And then the engineering scholarship, if you qualify for any of these presidential scholarships, you would get an extra $1,000 per year. These scholarships are typically automatic. Well, they are automatic if applied and admitted by March 1st. But if you do apply after that date and you need assistance financially, please reach out to us. We can definitely review your application kind of on a one-on-one basis there. So typically by March 1st is what we ask. But again, if you are still submitting your application, please feel free to reach out and I can advocate for you to get that on for you. These are renewable for up to 4 years, as long as you maintain a 3.0 GPA and full-time status, which is 12 credits. And then my final slide, I just wanted to thank you all again for joining today and listening in. My name again is Monica. This is my contact information if you ever have any questions. I am the assigned admissions counselor for Lane County, so I would be happy to help with anything that you have. Typically, if you do ever apply, you will probably get lots of emails from me. So feel free to respond. Let me know if you have any questions or any concerns along the way. And then our main admissions line is right here below. And then the last thing that I want to leave you with is that we are actually doing in-person tours right now. I think that one of the best ways to decide whether or not a school is the right fit for you is to visit the campus. So we would love to have you on campus for a tour if you are ever able to come. I know that right now with COVID, travel and everything is a little bit weird, but feel free to come onto campus at any time. We do offer them through the summer as well. So typically Monday through Friday at 10 and 2. And then we do often have other events as well, like Explore Oregon Techs, which are kind of like the similar presentation, but at those events, you typically get to meet with more students. So like student ambassadors, they would be able to kind of give you more of the student perspective of things and help you with any questions that you might have that way. So I think that is all that I have for today. But I would be happy to answer any questions, or if no one has any questions, I could talk for longer, but I don't want to chat with you all too long. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. But again, thank you all so much for joining. I really appreciate it.
Okay, and I have a couple comments to share, and then I'll have students come in. Students, I just want you to know that Monica's job is connecting with you and helping you in any way she can to come to OIT, to take tours, to become a student there. So I know sometimes I used to be afraid to actually like call the admissions person or call the person who is in charge of my area, but this is what she wants. She wants you to call and say, well, I kind of liked what you said, or I was kind of interested in the robotics degree, or in, you know, something else. And so just know that you really can call. And so if you can take a picture of this slide with your phone, or so that you'd have the information. And I just don't want to let you slip past the thing. A lot of universities, you may get a degree, but then there's really no jobs for you and nobody really helps you get a job. And that's one thing that Oregon Tech really stands out on. Monica, what did you say, 90 something percent?
96, yeah.
96%. That means that if there were 100 people graduating, 96 of them would get jobs in their area. So that's just really terrific and super important, because you don't want to get a degree and then not have anywhere to work. So those are really important. The other thing was that she said a lot of things in the engineering part are project based, where you'd actually be figuring out a project and saying, I want to work on this, or I want to build that. So I think those are just super exciting and important things about Oregon Tech.